me. One of my favorite Masons here in the Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia, Right Worshipful Bud Michels. Welcome to the Craftsmen Online podcast.
Thank you very much.
So good to see you, brother. He's by the beach. He has me internally jealous. Lives in one of the most pristine and lovely communities in the United States. For those outside of our area or who may not be familiar, where is Bethany Beach?
Bethany Beach is about a little over 2.5 hours east of DC and just north of Ocean City, Maryland, on the
Mm.
Eastern
It's
Shore.
that one, yeah, when Eastern Shore, yeah, when it's that part of the US when you go, oh yeah, there's New Jersey and oh that's Delaware and it's that little finger part and you're like, do people live there? It's like, oh yeah, it's one of the best beach communities in the world. You don't have to take my word for it, just as anybody who's from Baltimore or DC. Chances are they've gone there for the summertime. And your story is a fascinating one. I want to get to you. I want to talk a little bit more about this visual aid I have here for our YouTube live streamers, the actual Otter's Fez. Bud is a DC Mason, as I mentioned. He's past master of Hiram Tacoma Lodge number 10 and also John Philip Sousa Lodge number 1106, both here in the DC area. You also have a really cool honorific title for the Grand Lodge of DC. What is that?
Yeah, most worshipful brother. What's his name now? Give me 1 second. Who's the last? We're gonna edit this.
Was it a Anas?
No, it was
Pressman?
God damn it, the guy after him.
After Huertas?
No, no, after no, no. Hold on, give me a second. Oh
All
wait,
right.
I got my certificate right here. Oh no, that's not mine. That's somebody else's. Bear with me.
There will be a test afterwards. That's them.
Wait, hold on. Who's the Grandmaster? His name is It's killing me. Let me look at past grands. So give me 1 second, okay? I don't want to screw
Oh,
this
let me
up.
see if I can get Russell,
Nope. No. Recently,
Elias. Oh, recently. Nichols.
more
No, that was like
recently.
COVID. More recently.
God, they keep bringing up Prince Hall. I don't want Prince Hall. It's gonna bug me now. It's crazy. I feel embarrassed that I don't know it. I mean, I know it. I see his face. Give me 1 second. God damn it. Come on, you know him. He's like very esoteric.
Oh, Jacob Bressman?
Jacob Bressman.
There we
Okay,
go. All right.
here we go.
Whew. All right.
All
So,
right.
most worshipful Jacob Bressman gave you the honorary title of your
Past
grand.
honorary past junior grand deacon. And
There we
I
go.
guess
All right.
because well, he said because it was a service to the craft in our jurisdiction and in leadership and some other
So,
things. So I was very honored to get that.
in one of the unique and maybe not so unique stories, I'm sure other brothers who lived one area, they retired, they relocated to another part of the state or even part of the country. You and Rita had a beautiful house that you built for yourself in the Columbia, Maryland area. You sold that. You moved out to the beach in August of 2017. When did you join? I'm guessing Hiram Tacoma Lodge. When did you become a Mason? When did that all start?
That started around 2000. I became a Mason in 2006, but I spent about a year just going to different events because I didn't really know what Masonry was. I mean, my wife's uncle in Peru actually is the one that got me into it because every time he would come to the United States to visit, he saw that I was doing, different charitable activities. And he's like, well, you really should join the Masons. They do a lot of that stuff too. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even know who those guys are because I grew up in Pittsburgh and we didn't have any of that in my community where I lived. And so, and
Mm.
I didn't really know anybody that was. So to me, it was just a foreign thing that you saw, talked about on TV. But other than that, I really had no inference into it. So I was introduced through a brother who was a member of Hiram Tacoma Lodge, who was also a member of my wife's uncle in Peru, and he was working in the United States doing some kind of studies with the FDA on behalf of the country of Peru, and got me introduced to the people of Hiram Tacoma. And after a while, I kind of liked these guys, and I decided, and I was interested. And then I got more and more interested in Freemasonry, particularly the history of Freemasonry in general. And I put my petition in, and the rest is kind of history as far as Freemasonry goes. I'm kind
A
of a
few
both.
years goes by. Yeah.
Well, I'm
You
kind of a
become
both feet in
past
kind of a
master.
guy. I mean, I'm not going to join something just to join it. That's not my style. Anybody will tell you that anything I've joined in Freemasonry, whether it's in DC or elsewhere, I'm all in. And if I don't join, it's because you know, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just, I my cable tail is only so long, and I want to stay married, kind of thing.
That is
Like
a
you
key
know, like
part
for
of it.
instance, this year, I am the worthy grand patron of the grand chapter of the Order of Eastern Star of the District of Columbia. So
Mm.
that was I got installed May 3rd, and I got my new knee on May 5th. So I'm hitting the ball running slowly, if you get my drift.
I got you.
But my point is, as far as masonry goes, I've been very active, and that kind of segues also um, into me going into like the officer line. I came in, I was there for I don't know a few months, maybe a year, and I became a senior steward. And then from that point on, I moved up through all the chairs. Passed my proficiency in 2012. I was a master my first year. I had an incredible officer line, very resourceful, very helpful. And then the following year, I became the secretary, and then I was a secretary for about 11 years.
Mm.
And along those same timelines, I was a high priest in 2011, 2012 for Royal Arch, and I had also joined the Eastern Star. And my wife and I both served in the East in 2011. So I was actually a leadership of chapters and other Masonic bodies prior to even becoming master. So I almost kind of had the appetizer before the meal kind of thing, and
Yeah.
or if you want to say the dessert before the meal. But I did that, and along the way, I was also very involved in the Scottish Rite in the District of Columbia, which involved me being the chieftain of the KSA, or the Knights of St. Andrew, which I was really honored to do that. I became the chairman of the Americanism Committee, where we'd have all these different kind of programs for JRTC and other educational events, usually something to do with Americanism. Like we had somebody come in for the person in charge of the American military cemeteries around the world, and had him come talk about the process and how we do things even in other countries. Matter of fact, these cemeteries are almost like embassies. I mean, they're
Mm.
basically our hallowed ground, even though they're in Normandy and other areas. And then went through the Knights of Kadosh, and in 2015 I was honored and coronated with the 33rd degree. Really honored to do that, or have be honored to have that, and kind of just
Hmm.
kept doing stuff because you don't
Yeah.
stop. As people tell you, once it's like when you get to the mountain, it's your work's just beginning.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting. I know a sliver of your backstory. It's great to hear all of the other involvement and the bodies that you're involved with, and that your wife, your partner Rita, was also an integral part of you going through all of this. The one thing I got to experience with you was when John Philip Sousa Lodge, which here in DC is special. It's unique to us. We have a lot of these affinities lodges, and this lodge was particularly created with the idea of music's or to celebrate music and musicians. And I remember going to one of their first meetings under dispensation, and I believe the presentation was on the Beatles, just Beatles music, which I was completely captivated by. So I can easily see how a guy who was super involved in masonry and in his lodge, when you moved out of the area, you must have had that kind of letdown. Like, yeah, I can always go back and visit. They're only 2 hours away. But at the same time, you're like, well, I kind of need to find a good fit lodge for me here in my new area that I'm in. How did you stumble across Doric Lodge number 30?
Well, ironically, I didn't stumble across that. I actually been going to that lodge since about 2007, maybe.
Mm,
My sister-in-law had a place out here, or she still does out here at the beach area. And when I used to come out in May and June or in the fall, we would take some weekends out or whatever. I would try to coordinate it to be where I can go to a meeting, like maybe we do a Friday, Monday, and of course, Doric Lodge meets on the first Monday. Um, and I would start visiting this lodge whenever I could, at least once or twice a year. And then once I became friends with them, then even when I came out in the summer, we would find ways to meet up and hang out. So it was a very similar ecosystem that I had with Hiram Tacoma, and of course John Philip Sousa, which was born out of Hiram Tacoma, which we call HTX, and so it was a very similar culture. They they work hard on their ritual. They believe in what they're doing. They're super community oriented. Um, like for instance, this past weekend we sold about $3,000 worth of chicken, which
jeez.
that money is gonna. We have a big barbecue team, which is gonna, we raise money for our scholarship fund as well as support some of the other community charities.
Mm,
And basically, we do all that. Just you know, we do a lot of that, and we got a
mm.
lot of events that we do that with throughout the year, and all that money gets poured back into the community.
Here's what I love about Doric Lodge specifically. I lived on the Eastern Shore on the Maryland side for about 5 years. It was before I was a Freemason, so I didn't know much about the fraternity and maybe had kind of a passive interest at the time because I was really into my career at that point and really wasn't thinking much outside of that bubble. It was family, career, come back home, rinse and repeat. But getting a chance to visit your lodge, really the opportunity to interact with those brothers, hear about the history, the generational ties, the communal ties that they are a big part of the community there. The culture of that lodge is really special. And it's something that when an outsider comes in, I'm probably not the first to say it, but they're like, man, I wish that our lodge could be more like this lodge. But it's impossible to copy that and or maybe even take a piece of it and bring it back home because it's just not going to work, because it's the brothers that make it unique, that you have to have a little bit of that before you can have anything else. What has been your experience for visitors like me or even going to other lodges and realizing like, yeah, we've got something kind of special here at Doric?
Well, the one thing that interesting about Doric, just because the quality of the people that are there, their friendliness, um, inside a lodge they work hard. Outside a lodge they have a lot of fun. They're very social. Everything from home barbecues to just going out and having a drink after lodge. Just kind
Mhm.
of things like that. Um, I think me coming into there, I mean, when I finally decided to petition that lodge, I already had been living here 5 years. And the master at the time thought I was already a member. Because I
Nice.
because I would go all the time and I would do presentations. Because the one thing that really DC brought, what I brought from DC into this lodge, is just a lot more um, history and other kinds of education, only because DC is very central focused on tradition, history, and
Mm,
protocol. Okay. And, you know, and my influence here was, and this is my opinion, but well, actually, they've told me this as well, is that, you know, I'm more of a structure. kind of a person where I think it's better that if everybody knows what's going on and everybody, um, knows that there's going to be, a Masonic or some kind of educational program at each meeting, it's going to influence how we get attendance, how we get different kinds of new members, and it's
Hmm.
also going to allow us to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And so I think with my little piece, even before I became secretary there, it was more of, I already have this experience. Let me impart it to you. And of course, these guys have a lot of experience that I would never see in DC as far as how
Mm.
they do things with the community. They're like just completely lockstep with the community. And DC, because of DC, you don't really get that anymore because even though you have neighborhoods, you don't necessarily have that kind of relationship because um,
Right. It's the
the
difference
politics
between,
and things
yeah,
like
you have a city setting and then you have a rural slash country setting, and there's differences there. But there's also differences. Like, I've seen your personality. You're a natural leader. You're just a great guy. You're an awesome organizer, and you're the kind of person who could befriend anybody. There's no secret to me. I found it funny when you said, "Oh, the master thought I'd been a member here for 5 years," because you have that about you, right? And this lodge, they are a true band of brothers. All of these guys grew up together. They know each other. They've known each other and their families for generations. So, well, yeah, you have a little bit of that outsider. You're also bringing in an ingredient they didn't have: the Masonic education,
Mhm.
the quote unquote higher level of degree knowledge that maybe they didn't get outside of the Blue Lodge setting that they were in. So it was a perfect match. I do want to talk about the community part, because this is something that, getting a chance again to visit your lodge and even tasting some of this food. When you said, "Yeah, our lodge has an award-winning barbecue team," I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking little smoker, couple guys just standing out there talking. Tell us about the setup, the rig that you guys have.
Well, we actually have two rigs right now, and we're in the process. When I say we're, it's mostly our worshipful master this year, Steve Mills. He's a five-time master, soon to be six-time master. Um, he's looking to build 1,000-gallon smoker. Like,
Mm,
it's going to be huge.
mm.
But right now, we basically have a rig that's probably about as big as like a boat rig, as far as the trailer. And it's got the smoker, it's got a margarita maker, it's got a couple of things on it.
All the
Um,
essentials.
yeah, and so that, um, and then we have another one that's a smaller one that's on a old. Remember in the NFL they have those ambulances that are like golf carts for the players that get
Mm-hmm.
injured. Well, Steve had bought a old one of those from I think the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's now called the Peach, which is named after one of our brothers that passed away. And basically, it's got a smaller smoker, so that'd be one that we could just drive around and go anywhere with that. It's kind of fun.
Jesus.
Um, but we always take two rigs down to. We took two rigs down to Raleigh. There's a big Masonic pig jig every year, and which helps the Oxford, North Carolina Masonic Children's Home. That's still in place today. I think this year they raised 40 or 50,000 for that day. And there's everybody from Blue Lodges, regular Blue Lodges, to Prince Hall Lodges, to other Masonic bodies. They all can join in and participate in this. And we've won different categories. Won best of show. We've won first place, second place, third place, and the best sauce, the best dessert. I mean, they've won
Mm.
all this stuff, and I think you might have seen some of those uh, trophies that we've had.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but I think we're the furthest north that goes down that far. The rest are from that area, and but it's a great rapport, and we're really honored to be part of that.
And
And
you
then
guys win. That's the best part. You go down there and it's fair to say dominate. You dominate down there.
I think when I saw the immediate past Grand Master at in DC at the Grand Lodge banquet last year, and I did a selfie with him, and I told him who I was. His smile went to like a straight line, but he really appreciates it because we go down there and beat those boys up pretty good when it comes to barbecuing. But long story short, it benefits the kids. That's all they care about. Yeah, we're disappointed if we lose, but everybody eats. They have a good time. We send about 15 guys down there in
Mm,
two rigs, two separate teams, hoping that, and they both they compete with everybody else, and it's a blind taste, so they don't know who cooks the food or who does what, and so sometimes both teams win, sometimes one wins more than the other, but in the end, we go down there as brothers, and we have fun as brothers, and we leave as brothers,
yeah, it's
and
definitely
we're looking
something I'm
forward to
adding
it
to my
next year. But
Masonic
you,
bucket list is a trip to North Carolina for the Masonic pig jig. That's
I'd never been because they keep telling me it's 3 days of no sleep, but you have a lot of
mm,
fun. And
mm,
so, if you want to go next year, they're always looking for people to come join the foray and have some fun. But to fall back on the community about Doric Lodge, the interesting thing about Doric, the lodge itself was founded basically in 1903. The building that you saw was built 2 years later. And over the last, I want to say 3 years, we probably put anywhere between $50,000 and $60,000 of materials back into it. That doesn't even include the labor of love that these guys volunteered to do things. I mean, a lot of these guys build $1 million homes on the beach, or they do, construction or roofing, or they just good at using tools. Everybody pitched in one way or the other to put new floors in, to put a new wall up, to put all new windows in. The windows that we got rid of, I think you saw one etched at Steve Mill's house. That was one of the old um, windows that had lead in it, was
mm.
etched and lit up and things like that. Um, those windows were over 120 years old, and we replaced all them by donations of the lodge, many of whom are members that don't even come to lodge because they either live far away or they can't drive at night. Although we've offered to pick them up, it's just one of those things where their love, even though they can't get around anymore, is still with the lodge, and we still get a lot of donations through members who make a difference, both with our building as well as our charities that we deal with in the community.
So, listener might be thinking, okay, here's a lodge that's in a beach community. They like barbecue. That must be the unique culture, the history of this lodge. But wait, as they like to say, there's more. One of the rooms that we got to spend a significant amount of time in was the cigar room that has a humidor built into it. It's got nice couches, great history that's behind frames. And that's where, at least for our YouTube live streamer, you'll see one of these just kind of sitting on a bookshelf, and you're like, what is this? What is this all about? So, how did the Burning Tapers Collective come to be? And then tell us how that led into the Grand Hollow.
Well, so what happened is when we built that. By the way, that's called the fellowship room, because we actually do close those doors and work with uh, the brothers to learn their catechisms and their other things that they need to learn. So it's technically the fellowship room. However, by chance, we do have a homemade humidor there. It's about 6 foot tall. And we also have these nice leather chairs and nice chairs, and all that was donated by either members who were getting new furniture in their law offices or whatever their offices are, or um, one of our brothers was getting ready to refurbish a whole house, and they were throwing all the stuff out, and
Hmm.
we took it. We took the good stuff. It's not
Hmm.
like, grandma's furniture that had plastic on it, but you're right. It's pretty cool stuff. The Birdie Tapers Collective kind of started out where we're either smoking in lodge, not in lodge. We're smoking outside in the winter or whatever. And when we decided to build this fellowship room or considering it, we wanted to make sure it was a place that had air evacuation and things like that. So all that's already built in. Um, Amazon's great for supplying that stuff for us. Um, but they decided to make more of a social organization. So it's not necessarily affiliated with Masonry, because you don't have to be a Mason to join.
Mm.
You just have to be somebody who can appreciate cigars if you want. We actually have people that don't even smoke cigars. We have people that smoke pipes, like Derek,
Hmm.
one of our brothers. And it just became kind of a social thing where we're doing it all the time. We thought it'd be kind of fun to make it a more of a more formal social club. And I say formal in the sense of your induction is buying the fez. That's it. So the fez is named. If you look at it again, it's an otter. I don't know where it came up, but Worshipful Brother Hud Athey came up with this, and he designed the whole logo. It's basically an otter. He didn't see any other Masonic otters or fraternal otters or anywhere else in the world, so he decided to go ahead and do that and design it himself, and decided to put a fez on it because he thought that was fun. And basically, we really don't have Shriners down where we're at, so it's not like we're mimicking them. I think they have a Shriners Club, but not a Shriners, organization per se. It's further north, and it kind of grew into a bigger thing where we decided to call it Burning Tapers Collective. And we decided, since we're the first one, we are the grand otters, the grand hollow, which where otters live, of the universe. So that's really as simple as it is. The ritual was kind of put together based off of probably a little bit of bourbon and some cigars, and it's really just a fun organization. There's no science behind it, but we do have a few events a year. We actually participate with the lodge on fundraising events, and any money that we get out of that, we put some of that back into the lodge itself. So even as a club that's using the building per se, on occasion, the reality is that it's just another way to bring money in to put back into the community and bring even a feeder system of potential new members through a social organization that may be interested in Freemasonry down the road.
Yeah, if I could talk a little bit about the fez for our YouTube live streamer.
Sure.
This is beautiful. It's a great quality texture. I loved the otter on the front. I am not a member of the shrine, so the idea of having, my own fez, this is mine. I am a a grand otter myself. It's a little personalized on the inside. And if you're wondering where did they get this and where can I get one for my group, here's the information right here. It's called Fezorama. Fezorama.com is a website. We'll make sure it's in the link for the episode that you're listening to right now on the Craftsman Online podcast. We're not getting paid to talk about this at all. I just thought I'd be a nice guy and share the news.
Right, but to get our fez, that's our design. You have to become
Absolutely. You
an
do.
otter.
You do. And I like the sea wave texture that comes with this. Like this is a very special probably one of my favorite Masonic collectibles that's unique to me. That I have a dear place for this. You can see it on the shelf behind me here in my office at home, and every time I look at it, I smile and I think of that was a really cool, fun weekend. Because for myself as a Master Mason, and I've gone to the concordant bodies, I've been a member of those as well. You go through our degree systems; they become very structured, very ritual. This was unique because I was trying to figure out, like, where did they come up with the idea for this? There is a ritual for this, and part of it is you have to have a cigar, obviously, and then there's the whole command of you get the fez, you put the fez on. There's a certain way that they do that, and everybody's doing it together. You guys printed up these wonderful certificates, and it was just one of those things. As we were driving back to the DC area after our time on the Eastern Shore, the brother that I had traveled with, we were talking about this, and we're like, geez, how could we do something like this for our lodge here in DC or any other lodge that you might be a member of across the country? And that's when I said, I'm like, it's unique because you have to have the right people that find this and make it special. If you tried to do a cigar club, and I know many who have tried, oh, you got a couple guys that like to smoke cigars, but do you have the special room, the fellowship room of your own to be able to do this? Do you have people that are coming in who aren't Masons who want to be a part of this? No. Well, it kind of helps to have that. Like you have to have that culture. And that's what I thought was so special about Doric Lodge and the Otters. And that's why I'm so glad that you came on to kind of shed some light about this, because it is possible to do these things in Freemasonry. You just have to have the right guys.
Hmm. That's true. And Hud Athey really put a lot of thought into the design of that hat as well. And we thought, is this going to be a flash in the pan kind of thing, or are we going to really do something with it? And we got to the point where there's other lodges in our jurisdiction that are interested in doing another one. So we may actually have another one that we're going to christen that's further north of us, because they were in your class. Actually, two of those guys were in your
Hmm.
class your otter class, and they're actually interested in that too. So we may go up and stand one up there. Of course, there's a bunch from DC. We're looking to do that again next year with Union 6, have them come out to Doric and partake with Doric, as well as the BT the Burning Tapers Collective, which we call BTC. So yeah, there's a lot to keep people interested. It's just another avenue. And yes, you got to walk a fine line between, hey, look, a lot of members don't like smoke. A lot of members don't want smoke in their building.
Mm.
You just got to you got to figure out a way to make that work. And we did. We have these literally like these Air Force jet
Oh, the
engines
jets.
there
Yeah,
that
those were
suck the air
amazing.
right out.
That was so
If I had
amazing.
hair, it'd probably go with it. But
Yeah,
the
they
point
were pretty
is
cool.
that but consideration is a factor, and don't make it so that you ruin it for everybody else. And we've really haven't had any complaints because we make sure it's clean and everybody has fun. Everybody goes away having fun, and
Mm.
that's the important thing, because then they're going to come back when you want to do something serious like Freemasonry or something like a degree. They know that there's not just a serious side. There's also a very social side
Yep.
to uh, to the personality there. So
Yeah, to me, the brotherhood and fellowship that's offered in our fraternity, those are the two like key draws for me. I talk about that all the time when people are like, "Oh, what's the benefit of being a Freemason?" Well, there's all of this, but for me, these are the two things that I like to talk about. And I'm sure that we have a listener who's sitting here going, "Well, can't do the cigar club, the barbecue thing, that would be cool, but I got to get the right people for that." But I really want to start something like this because I think it would just be great. What advice can you share from a leadership or organizational standpoint, like when it comes to interacting with maybe the Grand Lodge, for example, or just the leadership and the officer line of your lodge? Like, what things should you be open to or consider before starting to do something like this?
you got to get all your officers to swim in the same direction. I mean, they all got to be they all don't have to be 100% participants, but they can't really be. You really got to sway them into not being against it.
Mm.
So we do have people that are in our officer line that don't smoke cigars, but they're certainly invited. They're certainly invited to come to any of the events that we have, and they do come, especially if they're outside, because they're outside. They're not in a room filled with smoke.
Mhm.
So not leaving anyone behind, I think, is an important thing. Figuring out a way to incorporate them into your social club, if you will, that's aside from Freemasonry. I meant like as far as like a cigar club, or if you want to do a boating club, which is something that one of the brothers was thinking about doing, because we live near the ocean. We have a couple bays. We have Assawoman Bay, which is in Ocean City. We have Indian River Bay. Somebody's thought about maybe doing a periodic, like a boat club where we all just either rent boats or bring our own boats, and we all go out at least once a month for a couple months while the weather's good. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you could do as far as like social clubs. Ours just happened to be that came out and it's taken off. I mean, we got 30 some members already, and it's only 3 years old. And it's, and that, and we have another 20 or so teed up ready to do it whenever we're going to do the next event, which may be sometime this fall.
Mm.
So I think, my advice would is be inclusive where you can, and listen to the people that don't want it and figure out a way to make them work. And it might be something where you don't want to alienate any of these members. You just got to figure out the way that they'll at least accept it or at least tolerate it, because not everybody will, especially when it comes to smoke. Now, maybe a yacht club or a boat club, or maybe somebody talked about doing a bicycle. Everybody get together for health and meet up with bicycles and just go around some park somewhere, because there's a ton of parks out here in Delaware.
Mm.
Somebody also talked about just hiking, going to different lakes all over Delaware. There's a ton of lakes, and just go hiking and do a lunch thing for a day with families and stuff. So it's not just a club. It could just involve people wherever you can, and people that come there, make it fun and make them want to do the next one.
Love it. I love the idea. Be inclusive, not exclusive, because there's enough of that already in everyday life. And
Yes.
Freemasonry is supposed to be different. So I dig it. Right worshipful brother, Bud Michels. I know you recently had some the surgery with your knee. Thank you so much for making time to catch up with us tonight and tell us a little bit more about these fezzes and the wonderful Freemasonry that's being practiced at Doric Lodge number 30. Thanks for being on the Craftsman Online podcast.
Thanks for having me, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.